Hey mamas, and welcome to the Entering Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Marie Bilger, a wife, mom of two, VBAC mama, and doula. Join us every episode to learn from professionals, special guests, and moms just like you, ensuring that you know what you need to know and discover things that you didn't know before. I believe in you. Let's doula this, and let's navigate the transition of entering motherhood together. In this episode of Entering Motherhood, we talk with Sylvia Hall, who is the founder of Lift It Naturals. Sylvia shares her personal journey of postpartum struggles and how it truly inspired her to create mood-supporting probiotics. She discusses the impact of minerals, nutrition, and the gut-brain connection for maternal health specifically, and offers practical advice on using probiotics, managing stress, and truly just setting boundaries with multiple things, specifically technology. This conversation emphasizes self-compassion, the ability to slow down, and how we can be trusting our intuition more. Sylvia also encourages mothers to prioritize their well-being for an overall healthier motherhood experience. I know that you are going to get so many little bits of wisdom from this episode. And so with that, let's get this episode started and hear from her. Hello, and welcome to Entering Motherhood. So glad to have you here today and get this conversation started. How about you go ahead and introduce yourself for the listeners?
Awesome. Thank you. So my name is Sylvia Hall, and I'm most known for my company, Lift It Naturals, which I created after my postpartum struggles. I went looking for ways to feel better. I wasn't impressed with the solutions that were offered to me. And because of that mama bear inner wrath of there's got to be a better way to feel better, I ended up going down the rabbit hole that was the gut brain connection. And so I became very passionate about probiotics for mood support. And that was really just the beginning of my natural health journey. And it's been quite the evolution. So I'm excited to share the ups and downs of all of that with the listeners today.
Yeah, so let's kind of then backtrack to when you first entered motherhood and what was kind of going on and like when you started to kind of get into all of this and when you started to make those changes.
So for me, I was a really young mom. My husband and I met when I was pretty young. So we had already been married a few years and I just knew I was ready to be a mom. So I had my first at 23 and then my second at 25. And for me personally, after that first baby, I had like some of that emotional, like, oh, I was crying and then I wasn't. I was crying and I wasn't. And it just kind of went away and it was fine. But after my second, I just felt like this does not feel the same. This feels worse. I feel like something's wrong or off. And I had that nagging feeling for a while. And for me, it was so hard to explain, and it continues to be because I'd never been through it before. But what I would say I was experiencing was probably some form of depletion. Because when you grow a baby, your body does the work. It puts in the work. It gives it all it's got. And when you do it back to back, your body's like, hey, wait a second. Shouldn't we replenish some minerals? And maybe your diet is actually not. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. It's fine. I'm young. I'm young. But really, it turned out that my body was yearning for additional support. And it took me many years to figure that out. And I think I had recently heard some sort of statistic that your body doesn't recover from childbirth for like 12 years after giving birth. And then finally your minerals are all back in place or something like that. And that's, if you imagine someone who has a very committed lifestyle to health and vibrancy and not just maybe your average, diet or whatever. So for me, when I heard that statistic, I was like, okay, that's what was happening. I was simply depleted. And I think that kind of giving myself that, like, it's okay. It wasn't like your fault. You didn't really know any better. You were simply depleted. And so that's kind of the angle I look at it now, but that's definitely a bird's eye or future look back view.
Yeah. Can we dig a little bit deeper as far as like what depletion meant to you, means to you now, and what you were kind of uncovering? Like for somebody who maybe hasn't heard that term
Mhm.
or like doesn't really understand, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm depleted, and what? Like, like,
Yeah,
can we just kind of dig a little bit deeper with that depletion
sure.
aspect?
Sure. I think just like, let's just say I could go back. I would eat a lot more fruits. I would drink a lot more orange juice. I would drink mineral water. I would supplement with some magnesium. I would take magnesium baths so that I could get it through my skin. And I would nourish my gut brain connection by taking a high quality probiotic. So, just those few pieces of nutrient density. I also love balancing protein, fat, carb. That really helps me to feel well. And sometimes that just looks like a glass of orange juice and some cheese. So, by that has the fat and protein and then the sugar. And it's just like I feel like I can think straight. It actually helps me when I need to do some work to make sure I have that well balanced snack. And as far as the minerals go, I think fruits are the absolute goddess of the world to supply those minerals. And then from there, like I said, mineral water and spring water are really great ways to just keep getting your body those minerals. So it's really simple, actually. I just wasn't doing any of it and I didn't know.
Well, I feel like, a lot of us still don't know. Like, a lot of us don't really have these habits or these practices that we're kind of doing, and nobody's, technically saying, like, hey, like, go out and do this, or like make sure, you're doing this, like provider wise and things like that. Like, why do you think there is still such a disconnect when it comes to like nutrition as far as, medical advice
Sure.
and connection?
Even as I say it, it's like, this is so stupidly simple that someone could just say, well, I'm going to disregard this because this is too simple and it couldn't be this easy. It's just really fascinating because a lot of my work with Lifted Naturals, I've been doing a lot of guesting on podcasts and I talk a lot about the business aspect. People love to hear, how did you go from nothing to something? Like, that's crazy and that's cool. And you're a mom. And it was driven by my desire to be home with my babies and to make an impact, to make an income, to really make a difference in the world. And I had a problem, so I wanted to solve it. And I thought it may help other people. But really, like these questions of like, well, what would you do different? It's so simple, like just focusing on the minerals, the rest, the stress bucket, all of those things that are just like the most simple, easy things to do. For me, I did feel like it was dietary related because I just really didn't have a mega focus on minerals, nutrients, and whole foods. Like I hadn't entered my crunchy era. And I say that loosely because I've come full circle where so much of the crunchy stuff just stresses me out now. Like I left the mainstream world of traditional strategies because I felt like they failed me. And then I went into this natural world and I felt like, oh my gosh, they're stressed about everything. I can't be here. This is not a good fit for my nervous system. And so it was like this full circle of like, I'm leaving this one too. And it's really more just about trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, slowing down and really honoring your own body, your nervous system, your natural rhythms, and nourishing your body with sunlight, some movement, and some minerals. And I think the best way to get minerals is at this point, fruits, mineral water, some orange juice. I know that sounds so stupid simple, but like I said, I've been in this health world kind of watching these opinions and it just kind of seems like it goes all over the place. For a long time, I was afraid of the sugar in orange juice. I wasn't drinking it. I wasn't buying it for my family. I think that was a mistake. I think that was a huge mistake. I forgive myself. And I now buy orange juice. And I also encourage my kids, like, hey, let's have a little protein or fats to go with it to balance it out. Like, no better, do better, keep going. But it really is, I think, more simple than we realize if we just can slow down and tune out some of the noise.
Yeah. And when did you start to incorporate more probiotics and how did you really focus on that?
Okay, so Lifted Naturals has been in business for 7 years now, and I would say it was a couple years before that that I was like, "Hey, like this could be the missing piece of the puzzle." And for me, it was really obvious because I had been dealing with mood issues and digestive struggles. And really, when you have those two together, it's a pretty good sign that a mood probiotic could be very supportive for you. So it was reading Dr. Kelly Brogan's book, A Mind of Your Own, that where she talked about the gut brain connection. And that was a light bulb moment. And I took that and ran and began to do other research. And it was all about realizing that there are specific strains of probiotic bacteria. So you have the genus, the species, and the strain. And the strain is the very specific number or classification. And there are very specific strains that have been shown to help with mood and how the body handles stress. And I was just lit up by this. And I have to tell you, I'm not a chemist. I'm not a scientist. I don't want to be, but I am very passionate about solutions. And when I think I've found one that is good for me and changes how I show up in the world for myself, for my family, for my kids, that's when it's like, move out of the way. Because I mean business. That's when clear the way because she's not going to stop. And so those specific strains were ones that I was trying to order online. I was buying different formulas and trying them out on myself. And I am a very sensitive individual. And so what I mean by that is after taking them within a few hours, I could tell this is going to be good for me. This isn't going to work for me. And I just played around with the research, the specific strain number, and various formulas that I could find. And what I discovered was I wasn't impressed with what was available to me. And that was like the I can do it better moment. And my entrepreneur self really stepped into the light then, which it's always been there, but I didn't really see it going this way. I didn't really see myself becoming the mood probiotic lady, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, so how old were your kids at this point? Like, where were you at in your postpartum motherhood journey?
I would say my kids were around like 5 and 3, 6 and 4, something like that. And it had been a journey of trying different things and feeling like they weren't really helping. Just really like a commitment to there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And for me, I've tried various herbs and different things like that. They never really, some of them made things worse. Some of them I couldn't tell a noticeable difference. But for me, taking probiotics, it creates a noticeable lift and hence the name lifted naturals. It really for me has been a game changer, and I've never like completely is the only answer. It's like a piece of the puzzle that really helped me then click into the other pieces of the puzzle to feel well enough to go do all the other things that also help with feeling better.
Yeah, so what were you not finding in other products that you were saying, "I can do this better," that
Mhm.
you really wanted to focus on and makes, what you have created individualized and more specific towards what you were looking for in a probiotic?
Sure. So the very first formula, it was just a matter of putting all the strains that I really liked the research on together, plus a prebiotic that was specifically shown to help with mood and stress as well. The one specific prebiotic that I consistently found in my research was prebiotic GOS. And then there were various strains. I was like, I want this one, I want this one. Why aren't these all together? I can do it better. But from there, something really interesting happened, which was we began to serve a lot of people and we got a lot of feedback from customers saying, hey, I wish I could take this. I love this idea, but I have histamine issues. And so from there, we began to do the research and determine how we could create formulas that would suit various people with various needs. And so at this point in our journey, we have 4 different mood probiotic formulas, and I feel pretty good about the lineup that we have in as such that what works for one person doesn't always work for the next, but with what we have with those 4, I'm pretty confident that one of them could be very, very helpful for you.
What kind of benefits can the mood probiotics give to people that are having them?
Okay, so as a supplement industry and someone in the supplements, I'm somewhat limited in the words that I can use. Customers have told me stories that are very inspiring that I can't really relate back. And that's just the nature of the beast. It's my highest interest to continue to stay in business and to remain compliant so that I can keep helping people. But luckily, I've come up with some other words that are very helpful. So there's people that are kind of like nervous and a little bit like high mood, but actually not in a good way. So that kind of nervous energy generally seems to do better with bifidus mood boosts, which is a bit more calming. Whereas someone who's got low energy, low vibes, the downsies might do a little bit better with, say, mood super strains, as it is a bit more energizing. And then mood boosting probiotic continues to be our top seller. It's not the histamine sensitive one, it's the one that just works for generally the most people. And so that is the one most people start with unless they have a known histamine sensitivity, in which case all the other 3 are options for you. And then the third one, or excuse me, the fourth one that I haven't mentioned yet is SBO Mood Boost, which is our spore-based probiotic. And I wanted to create a spore-based formula because based on what I had learned, when people have said I've tried lots of probiotics and they don't help, usually a spore-based solution is what they need. It seems to be better for those really tricky digestive issues that just have not been helped by the lactobacillus and bifidobacteria, which is what the other formulas have.
So can you kind of explain what is a spore-based? How does that differ?
Okay, without getting too, it's a different type of bacteria that just tends to remain alive in a much different way than lactobacillus and bifidobacteria. So it's an endospore, and so because of the way it's protected, it travels more effectively through the digestive system, and that really is, like I said, the main reason that from my research, from my lab team, that I'm able to say, hey, what can we do to help people? This is what they suggest.
That's awesome. So, what would we maybe be experiencing or how might we know that a probiotic would be beneficial for us? Or, like, I mean, you were talking about like the orange juice and the fruit and just like incorporating that. Like, at what point, like, do you think at any point we can be doing this? And then it's obviously like more beneficial for other times, or is there certain times to maybe not be taking it versus taking it more often?
So I really think the fastest kind of way to narrow down, is this a solution for me? Is this something that could help me? Is if you're struggling with digestive issues and mood issues. And by mood issues, it can be an irritability, low mood, overexcitability, even some simple things like brain fog that feel like, oh, they're not that big of a deal. Yeah, they are, because your brain is really important. And it's really nice to be able to think clearly and speak in sentences and articulate your ideas. And so to diminish brain fog is frustrating, especially as a new mom. So you deserve to be able to articulate your thoughts and think clear thoughts, and probiotics can help with that as well. It's just this really phenomenal. Okay, so it used to be like everyone's like, "Oh, we need more serotonin," but I don't actually say that anymore because there's a lot of mixed research on serotonin in particular. But what I do still say is that those neurotransmitters that help us to feel good are made in our gut. And so by supporting that gut brain connection, you're supporting that two-way chat between the gut and the brain. The gut is talking to the brain is talking to the gut. If there's an imbalance in your gut, your brain will feel the consequences. And so I think people often know, like, yeah, that's me. I could use some support with that. And I would say a lot of the people that come to us say, like, I knew right away that I would benefit from your probiotic. And so if you don't have that hunch, then you don't worry about it. Maybe find another pathway. But for people that are like, okay, that resonates. I could see that helping. That might be a good time to check us out.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that, you hear this narrative of, oh, like, you're a new mom and like it's just in mom brain, you're supposed to feel like that, or you're supposed to like have those things, or, oh, I felt like that. So that's why you feel like that. And I think it's like sometimes we just get like stuck in that narrative of this is just what motherhood is supposed to be like, or this is just like how you're supposed to feel after a certain age. And so, like, what would you say to that? Like, looking back at when you were a new mom versus like how you're feeling now and how you're navigating motherhood and just all of those neurological effects and such.
Well, it's like I said before, that intuitive feeling of like, this isn't right. I don't feel that something's off. The longer you feel that way, the harder it is to articulate why or how, or to help it make sense to anybody else. But you don't have to. You don't need to explain it. It's just your own knowing that there's a better way to feel better and that you're committed to that way. So it's not always about anyone else saying, well, that's just the way it is now. Like, that's how it's going to be. Like, refuse to settle is the message that I would say. And you would know if you are experiencing that you deserve to feel better. That's the other line. That's actually one of our taglines of our company.
Yeah. What would you like? I guess, like, looking back at your own experience, do you feel like there was anybody saying these things to you? Or do you feel like it was really just that, like, internal intuition, self discovery of, like, I know that there's got to be something else out there?
Yeah, I don't think it was really anyone else besides just my own knowing of not feeling like I know I can feel. So
Yeah.
that ruthless commitment to wanting to feel better, and sometimes we are driven because we want to be a good mom. And that's all we've got. We're clinging to it. Like, I know my kids deserve better, but I'm also here to say you deserve better. You truly do it. And when you pour it in your own cup and you give from that overflow, beautiful things happen in the dynamics. Because, as a mom of teens now, I feel like it's just so important to remember that motherhood is a role that you are taking on. And it may be one of the most important roles of your life. It's one of the most beautiful, challenging, exciting, heart filling experiences. And yet it's still not your identity. You are still you. And they are them. And as they grow, they will let you know that you are not them. They're them and you are you. And you really do deserve to pour into yourself to show up in that way that you long to feel. And so I like to say that if you find something that does help you in some way, maybe it's going for a brisk walk, or maybe it is a mood probiotic. Whatever it is, find something that makes you feel a little bit more like you, and then take that momentum and go with it. Because just like sleep begets sleep, the momentum of feel good energy in your body begets more feel good energy in your body. So take it and run and do what you can to continue to prioritize yourself and also commit to the fact that you deserve to feel better.
Yeah. How have you noticed, like especially like now your kids being teenagers, the knowledge that you have gained and this like self-work that you have done, how has that changed how you parent them and how have they been responsive to that or receptive to it and have you seen it kind of trickle into their choices and I guess like selections and nutrition and stuff? When did you really start bringing them into that equation?
So, as most people's children are, mine are night and day different from each other. My son is generally more receptive to what I share, and my daughter, who's a couple years younger, says, "Oh, that sounds like a bunch of nonsense. Mom, sounds like you're getting scammed again." Mom sounds like, she will literally just roast me and she keeps me honest. And whereas my son will kind of go with it and, maybe not truly believe it as much, but never roast me the way my daughter does. I continue to say, stay open to, they're in an era where they're getting health information from videos on their own. And this person says this isn't good. And then we talk about stevia and we're talking about all of it. And I feel like what I continue to tell them is that stress is the most important component. Like, is this stressing you out? Then let's try to find another way. Like, honestly, that has been the lesson again and again is our perception is more important than the reality of it. So how are you perceiving this? And how can we change the way you're thinking about this so that it's not causing you so much of a burden? And I like to use this analogy that imagine there's a table in front of you and there's thousands and thousands of pairs of glasses. And you pick a pair up and you put them on and you look at the world and it's a certain way. But you take the glasses off, you set them down and try on another pair, and suddenly the world looks entirely different. And that is the power of an insight shift that we have available to us at any moment, just from changing our mind about something, changing our perception.
How were you kind of as a kid talked to about nutrition or was that ever something that was kind of brought up?
No.
No. No.
No, I ate when I was hungry.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. I can't even recall. Like I ate, I stopped when I wasn't. Like it just like it's a non food feels like a much bigger part of our life as a family. Like we're planning meals. I'm trying to be considerate of who likes what and getting plenty of protein. And, they're both athletic. So they're both some days burning through a lot of calories and they need something like filling. And so I really take that job pretty seriously that they're nourished so that they can feel well. And I know I had warm meals. I'm not trying to diminish the work that my mother put in,
Yeah.
but she worked full time. It's funny to even talk about it. Like, there's nothing more to say. It was just not a big part of like we ate meals. I ate regularly. I was not hungry, but it was not even a focus. It was just,
Yeah.
something you do. And then what else do you do?
And how are your parents responsive now to like the work that you do and the information and the research that you're finding?
Oh, they both love our probiotics.
Yeah.
So they'll say, "Oh, I stopped taking them and I really notice a difference. I feel better when I take them." So that's cool that you can tell they have a lot of respect for, the work I've put in to create these formulas. For me, that's like the tip top priority is that I don't make anything that I wouldn't take myself or give to a family member. There's nothing more important than it being that integrity, the safety of something that really is going to help someone feel better, not just like obviously just trying to sell something. Like as much as I love the impact and income component of business, I'm a heart-centered business, which basically means I could never sell something I don't believe in, and I've stopped selling things that I no longer believe in.
Yeah. What are some do you have any like specific stories from customers or people that you know personally that like very much stand out in your mind? Like they wrote a comment or a review or it like reached out to you personally and you were just like, yes, like this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot, actually. I have a friend whose daughter, her nose runs all the time unless she takes mood super strengths. And she's like, "You have no idea how many tissues we go through if I forget." And it's just something her body seems to need and seems to thrive on. It sounds so silly and little, but have you ever tried to blow your nose all day? It's inconvenient. And so little things like that can really make a big difference in someone's life as far as that goes. And I'm someone who, during certain hormonal fluctuations, have struggled with headaches, and I found that Bifidus Mood Boost is one of my best friends when it comes to that, and if I continue with that, it's very supportive just to hormonally help me out along the way. So, yeah, there's definitely customers that write us. Like I said, I can't always post those things or share about them based on those rules, but we know we're making an impact, and that's why we're gonna keep going.
Cool. Yeah, I think headaches tend to be a big thing that a lot of people are commonly getting and, because of that depletion point and
Mhm.
things like that. So I definitely, and obviously like energy and
Mhm.
that brain fog and
Mhm.
yeah, there's a lot of that it's just like I said, these like common things, but they don't have to be
Mhm.
normal or part of how you're experiencing life in general, but motherhood
Yes.
specifically.
So I do have one other as I was saying that, I was realizing that I love to share that our probiotic capsules can be opened. So if you're new to probiotics whatsoever, I always recommend going slow when you first start because something I've experienced, customers have shared, is that if you go too fast with something and maybe your body really needs it, it's even more likely sometimes that you'll have a die off symptom. So a little stomach upset or headache that can be mitigated by simply going slower with your dose. So you can open the capsule, sprinkle a tiny bit into yogurt or applesauce or orange juice. And then from there, working your way up to a little bit of a higher dose. But that helps with those die off symptoms so that you can ease into it and you're less likely to have that sort of irritation at first, which kind of says, oh no, I don't want to take this. And really, there was a ton of benefits just hiding behind getting through those first few days.
Yeah, I mean, I think with anything, it's like if you're, like, trying it new, like, there could be, offset things that you're like, "Oh, this isn't for me," but it's like, again, like, just give it another chance, give it
Yeah.
another try, like, start a little bit slower,
Well, and if you're,
because
let's say you have a nervous system and a tendency towards being nervous to take new things, even that angst before you take something new can cause a reaction, so to speak, can cause you to not have a pleasant experience from it. And so that helps to mitigate that as well. It's like, it's only a teeny tiny bit. This can't cause a problem. This probably won't cause a benefit, but I'm going to ease my way into it. And that puts your nervous system at ease. That puts
Yeah,
your whole system at ease of like, okay, we're just going to slowly integrate a tiny bit of this. And
yeah.
then I also feel like, if you love kimchi or kefir, however you say it,
I think that's
the,
right.
the kids and I are always messing with that one. Kefir. We play around with it, but then you would forget the real way. So if you like those things, I think they're wonderful. But for a lot of people, they either don't have access to them, don't like the taste of them, forget to buy them, and it's easier to have a shelf stable probiotic. So another thing, though, I will say is if you have a histamine sensitivity, by consuming something like sauerkraut, you're ingesting a lot of different probiotics, and you might have that histamine reaction more likely from that versus these hand selected strains that are just specifically targeted to help with mood but not produce that histamine response. So that's another benefit. I'm not against probiotic foods at all. I think they're wonderful, in fact. So that's why one might lean toward a supplement instead, though.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and like you said, like, having, like, that shelf stable, like, you can travel with it, you can go anywhere with it, it's, like, always there, part of your routine, you know that you're getting it. Because yeah, I always like to say, like, like, food first, but then, like, obviously, like, supplements are needed
A
sometimes
supplement.
or yeah, yeah, and, like, I love the idea how you were saying that you can open the capsules and mix it in with different things because, like, if you're already having that, like, morning yogurt, for example, or that, like, glass of orange juice, then it's really kind of just, like, you're not worried about, "Oh, I have to, like, take these pills or, like, add in this," and stuff
Mhm.
like that. It's kind of just, like, almost unrecognizable, but you're getting those benefits from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Well, what else would you kind of want it doesn't have to be, like, on the lines of probiotics or even nutrition, but, like, what else would you want a new mom who is either, like, currently pregnant or, like, newly postpartum to know in this stage?
So I think that kind of taking it back to the nervous system support, there's two key ways that you can support your nervous system so that you are in a true state of health and healing rather than frantic worry about maybe what's to come. And one of those is to slow down. By slowing down, it's a signal to our nervous system that we're safe. We wouldn't slow down unless we were safe. It's like this primal thing. And the other is just to send signals of safety to your body, just saying, I'm safe, we're safe. I think there's so much fear mongering that I think that new moms are probably quite worried if they open their Instagram accidentally and then suddenly they've learned 10 new things that they shouldn't be doing. I'm here to say that you can just not open your phone and then you didn't do anything wrong. There's no 10 things. Signal safety again and again to your nervous system, slow down. That is the best thing you can do to support that growing baby or your growing role as a mom is to really just to honor yourself and to slow down and to let yourself know you're doing a great job. I feel like that really is the simplest, kind of like the simple diet, the simple mindset shift towards you're doing enough, you're doing a good job, slow down, we're safe, it's good.
What's your favorite way to slow down, or what's your safe space?
I kick up on the couch and I put my feet on the edge. So, like, kind of elevated. There's something just so, like, relieving about that. And we have like an L couch. So sometimes I'll sit on one side and the feet are up one way. Sometimes I'll sit the other. But I do try to be cognizant of if my phone's in my hand, it's not rest.
Mhm.
So I get to consume content some. I encourage myself to create more than I consume. But I am a human in 2025, so I am consuming content as well. And I just like to distinguish though, if my phone is in my hand, it's not rest, it's enjoyable entertainment. If I really want to rest, I have to put it away from me. So maybe that's helpful to somebody else too.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important. And, it's funny that sometimes, when my phone is dying or I have to put it on the charger and we're kind of just like in the living room or in the kitchen and just kind of like in our space, it's so much of a different feel than and especially like being on call as a doula and things like that. I always feel like I have to be like checking my phone and like
Yeah.
be aware of my phone. But when I have those blip moments of like, nobody's currently due, or I'm like expecting like postpartum, so it's not like immediately, things like that. It's just this, like, sense of relief of, like, I don't have to be attached to my phone. I don't have to be tied down to it and be, like, constantly checking it. And I think it is hard, in this era to feel like that's possible and to feel like, "Oh, what if I miss somebody's call, or what if I don't respond right away?"
Yeah, that urgency culture is really hard on the nervous system too. Like,
Mhm.
there are exceptions to the rule, like you said, with people that are counting on you that are in perhaps minute by minute situations. So if that were me, I would just turn my volume way up. I would say that I'm putting my phone in phone jail, but the volume's way up, so I'll hear it. But most of us don't have a baby on, that's going to be due that we need to go. So for the rest of
Yeah.
us, our
Yeah.
excuses are null and void. We do not have that same excuse.
Yeah.
In fact, you can even tell the people that are used to your quick response, like, "Hey, I'm practicing a pause. I'm practicing more space with my phone so I can be more present," because really that presence is so key. I feel like that is the thing that each of us long for from each other that is slowly disappearing from the connections we have. So if you can bring it back in any way, I think that'll also be very nourishing to the nervous system to help us feel well and to thrive.
Yeah. I said, I feel like we have to go back to when we had, like, the away message on AOL chat. You get a text message, it can just say, like, "Hey, I'm in the shower right now," or like, "Hey, like, I'm shopping."
Right. I mean, I really do think that just that idea of nobody gets that much of your time. Like, I feel like we really have just become wired and programmed to think that they should know we're in the shower, but really nobody needs to know that. Most people don't. I mean, if there's people that are used to knowing that, then there will be an adjustment period.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay. We can do that. We can change the way we do things. There's a system in place and maybe that system's not working if it requires that urgency. It's really worth an evaluation, if you will.
Yeah.
Maybe someone wants to change that and maybe they don't. But I think it would signal safety and slowness to release some of that urgency culture.
Yeah, very much. So, how can we get in contact with you? How can we reach you? Where do you like to hang out on social media? Tell us all the details.
Sure. So liftednaturals.com is where you can go to learn more about Lifted. And from there, you'll see that you can shop on Amazon or directly on our website. And though we are a small business and we love it when people shop directly with us because then we know their name and we can contact them directly, we always say if you already have that Prime account and you love that and you're paying for it, feel free to shop at Amazon because we just want our customers to be happy and shop where they love to shop. So that website has a lot of information. We have an email list there that people can sign up for to learn more about my story. I share a little bit more in detail through that. And that's my favorite way to connect with people is through that email list because it's not the urgency culture of social media that's you post and then it's gone and then is there likes and there's there comments and you got to, that is kind of tiring for many of us. And my goal is to continue to acknowledge that and to build my business in a way that feels really aligned for me. So we do have a presence on Instagram and Facebook, but it's sporadic. And that's okay for me. And so that email list is the best way to just stay in touch. And then I also have a personal website that's sylviahall.com that just shares a little bit more about the energetics, mindset stuff that I'm very passionate about. So that's been another avenue that I've been using to speak my message out into the world. So if people are interested in that, they can check out sylviahall.com.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for, sharing a little bit about your story and sharing about probiotics and just everything that you've been building and doing and accomplishing.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I really appreciate the time. I hope there's something that could be transformative because really we have so much information in the world. But really, if you can use even one nugget of that information and create a transformation, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I definitely think people are going to be able to get some information from this and really spark some ideas of how they can transform their life.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, mamas, so much for listening. Remember, you are a rock star. I believe in you. Let's doula this. Let's crank it up a notch and let's kick it into high gear together. Hit that subscribe button, share this episode with a friend, message me, email me, call me, beat me. You know how to reach me. We're doing this, mamas. I am so excited to catch you here next week. This is your one-stop go-to place for helping you find the resources you need to make the best choices for you and your family during pregnancy, birth, and most importantly, postpartum. See you later, mamas.